Ethan Ray floated in the silence of space, staring at the wrecked panels of his ship. The mission had gone wrong months ago, leaving him stranded in this desolate sector of the galaxy. He was a skilled pilot, a human among many advanced alien civilizations, but even his best abilities had been tested beyond limits. Memories of what he had lost haunted him most of all. Among them, one face stood out: Lyra, the alien woman who had vanished from his life without explanation. Lyra was unlike anyone Ethan had ever met. Her eyes shimmered like twin nebulae. Her voice carried a melody that could calm the most restless mind, and her intelligence surpassed most of her people. When she had disappeared, she had left a hole in his heart that not even the stars could fill. Now, alone in the wreckage of a space station orbiting a dying star, Ethan's routine was interrupted by an unusual signal. At first he thought it was debris bouncing off the station's sensors, but the pattern was precise, almost like a code. His heart skipped a beat. Only one being used this signal: Lyra. Somehow she was alive, and somehow she was reaching out to him. Without hesitation, Ethan fired up the ship's engines. He navigated through crumbling asteroids and radiation storms, each maneuver precise, almost instinctive. The signal led him further into uncharted space, beyond the usual patrol routes of human and alien authorities alike. His hands moved over the controls as if they had a mind of their own, driven by one simple thought: find her. Hours later, he reached the source. Floating in the void was an alien research vessel, ancient yet intact. Its hull bore scorch marks and warning lights blinked weakly. Through the viewport, he saw her. Lyra was there, suspended in a life support pod, her expression serene but fragile. Ethan's breath caught. He had thought he would never see her again, and now she was just a few meters away, but still out of reach. He worked quickly, overriding the alien security systems, breaking the locks on the pod. Lyra's eyes opened as the pod hissed and released her. For a moment, they simply stared at each other. No words were spoken. None were needed. Her presence was enough. Ethan, her voice was soft yet filled with the weight of untold stories. "Lyra, I thought I'd lost you forever," he whispered, gripping her hands as if to make sure she was real. Lyra smiled faintly. "You didn't lose me. I found a way to reach you. But it wasn't easy. I had to give up everything, my rank, my family, my world, to find you." Ethan's mind reeled. He had always known Lyra was dedicated, but he hadn't realized the extent of her sacrifice. She had turned her back on everything familiar, everything safe, just to be with him again. "We have to get out of here," Ethan said. "The alien fleet, they won't stop until they catch you." Her expression darkened. "I know, that is why I reached out. I couldn't do this alone. I need you, Ethan. I need your help to escape." He nodded. Without another word, he guided the ship away from the station, weaving through asteroid belts and radiation fields. The alien fleet was fast, highly advanced, and relentless. Every system of his ship was pushed to the limit, engines screaming and shields flickering under stress. Yet Ethan's determination never wavered. He would not let them take her away again. As they sped through space, Lyra explained. She had been a part of her civilization's ruling council, a position of influence and respect. But she had discovered corruption, oppression, and secrets that her people wanted to hide. Choosing to expose them would have meant her life. Choosing to flee meant she could never return. Her only option was to reach him, the human who had once saved her life in a forgotten battle. Ethan listened, absorbing every word. His admiration for her bravery grew, but worry gnawed at him. The alien fleet was closing in, and even his most daring maneuvers could only delay them. "Do you trust me?" Lyra asked, her voice almost trembling. "More than anything," he replied. "I'll get us out of this. I promise." They approached a dangerous section of space, a nebula filled with volatile energy currents. It was risky, but Ethan had no choice. He calculated the jump, then engaged the experimental hyperdrive he had been testing before his stranding. The ship shuddered violently. Lights flickered and alarms blared as they entered the uncharted zone. When the turbulence cleared, they found themselves in a strange, unexplored region of space. Stars glittered in unfamiliar constellations, and a massive alien structure floated silently in the void ahead. Its design was elegant, unlike anything Ethan had ever seen. It pulsed with a faint, otherworldly energy as if it were alive. Lyra stared in awe. This is ancient technology. It belongs to a civilization that hasn't existed for millennia. If we can access it, it might shield us from the fleet. Ethan maneuvered closer, keeping the ship steady as they approached the structure. The alien fleet's pursuit was momentarily disrupted, likely unable to follow through the unstable currents of the nebula. They had a small window of safety, just enough to explore but not enough to rest. Docking was difficult, but Ethan managed it with precision. The ship's hull aligned with the alien docking ports, and they entered the structure together. Inside, corridors of shimmering metal and glass extended endlessly, glowing with energy that seemed almost sentient. Each step echoed through the vast halls, reminding them of the silence of the void outside. Lyra led him through the passages, explaining the function of various devices and control panels. Ethan marveled at her knowledge, realizing how much she had learned during her exile. They reached a chamber at the heart of the structure, where a massive console projected star maps and data streams in 3 dimensions. "This could hide us," Lyra said, pointing at a section of space that seemed untouched, shielded from sensors. "We could use the technology here to block the alien fleet's tracking systems. But it's complex. We'll need to work together." Hours passed as they studied the controls. Ethan's human ingenuity combined with Lyra's alien expertise allowed them to manipulate the systems. Slowly, they activated a protective field that rendered their ship invisible to pursuit. The alien fleet, confused and unable to locate them, eventually retreated. They sank to the floor in exhaustion, relief washing over them. For the first time in months, they could breathe. Their hands found each other instinctively, fingers entwined as they shared a quiet moment. "I sacrificed everything for you," Lyra whispered again, her voice breaking slightly. "I left my world, my home. I left everything to be with you." Ethan held her close, feeling the weight of her words. "And I'll make sure it wasn't in vain. You're safe now. I won't let anything take you from me again." Outside, the stars continued to glitter, indifferent to the small drama of 2 beings who had defied odds and distances across the galaxy. Yet within that alien structure in the heart of uncharted space, Ethan and Lyra found something rare: hope, connection, and the beginning of a new life together. But even as they rested, both knew the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknowns, and the consequences of Lyra's sacrifice were not yet fully realized. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new threats, and new tests of their courage and trust. For now, though, they allowed themselves this brief moment of peace. They had found each other again against all odds, and that alone was worth everything. As they stared out into the void, side by side, Ethan thought he heard her whisper, "No matter what comes next, we'll face it together." And for the first time in a long while, he believed it. Ethan Ray's ship drifted silently through the empty void. Stars glittered coldly around him, and the wreckage of a once proud space station loomed ahead. Months had passed since the mission that went horribly wrong, leaving him stranded far from human colonies. The galaxy had never seemed so vast, so lonely. Yet amid the emptiness, one thought refused to leave his mind: Lyra. She had been gone for years, vanished under circumstances he never fully understood. A brilliant alien woman, part of a civilization so advanced it often seemed magical. Lyra had touched his life in ways that no one else ever could. Her presence had lingered in his memory like a warm light against the darkness of space. He had mourned her, yes, but he had never truly stopped hoping. Then the signal came. It was faint at first, a strange pulsing pattern on the ship's sensors. Ethan leaned closer, his pulse quickening. The pattern was too precise to be random. It carried a signature he recognized instantly. His heart thudded in disbelief. Lyra was alive. Somehow, against every odds, she was sending this message, reaching out to him across the stars. He set a course immediately. Every instinct he had as a pilot, every ounce of skill guided him through the wreckage fields and radiation storms surrounding the station. The path was perilous. The sensors picked up twisted metal and fragments of old satellites that could pierce a hull in seconds. Yet Ethan navigated through the danger as though guided by an invisible hand, driven by one purpose: find her. Hours later, he arrived at the source. Suspended in the void was an alien research vessel, battered and scarred but intact. Its exterior shimmered faintly under the dying light of a distant sun. As he scanned through the viewport, his eyes widened. There she was. Lyra lay suspended in a containment pod, her body delicate but serene, connected to glowing tubes and life support systems. Time seemed to freeze. He had imagined countless reunions in his dreams, but none could compare to seeing her like this. His hands worked quickly, overriding the alien security systems. Locks disengaged, alarms flickered and died. The pod hissed as it opened, and Lyra's eyes fluttered, revealing their familiar brilliance. She looked at him, and for a moment they simply stared, words unnecessary. The silence held all the meaning they needed. "Ethan," she whispered, her voice soft but heavy with unspoken stories. "I thought I'd lost you," he said, gripping her hands to make sure she was real. "I never left," she replied. "I found a way back to you. But it wasn't easy. I had to give up everything, my rank, my family, my world, to reach you." Ethan's mind spun. He had known her as brave and intelligent, but this level of sacrifice stunned him. She had abandoned everything familiar for a chance to reunite with him. "We have to leave now," Ethan said urgently. "The alien fleet, they'll be here soon." Her expression darkened. "I know, that is why I sent the signal. I can't escape them alone. I need you, Ethan, please." He nodded, determination solidifying in his chest. Together they left the abandoned vessel, weaving through asteroid belts and energy storms. The pursuing fleet was relentless, highly advanced, and fast. Each moment demanded all of Ethan's skill, and every system of his ship screamed under stress. Still, he pressed on. He would not let them take her from him again. As they navigated the void, Lyra explained. She had once been part of her civilization's ruling council, respected and powerful, but she had discovered corruption and secrets too dangerous to ignore. Exposing them would have meant death. Fleeing meant abandoning her world forever, and her only hope of survival, her only chance of freedom, was to reach him, the human who had once risked everything to save her. Ethan listened, awed by her courage and determination. His heart ached for all she had endured. But worry gnawed at him. The alien fleet was closing, and no amount of skill could guarantee their escape. "Do you trust me?" Lyra asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Completely," he said. "We'll get out of this. I promise." They approached a region of space filled with volatile energy currents, a dangerous nebula that few dared enter. It was risky, but Ethan had no choice. He calculated the path carefully, then engaged an experimental hyperdrive system he had been working on before he became stranded. The ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring, lights flickering as they entered the unknown region. When the turbulence cleared, they emerged into uncharted space. The stars were unfamiliar, constellations alien. Before them floated a massive structure, ancient and elegant, radiating faint energy that seemed almost alive. Ethan stared in awe. Lyra's eyes widened. This belongs to a civilization that hasn't existed for millennia. If we can access it, it could shield us from the fleet. Ethan maneuvered the ship carefully, docking at the structure's interface. Inside, the corridors gleamed with shimmering metal and glass. The walls pulsed faintly, alive with energy. Each step echoed through the vast, empty halls, reminding them both of the void they had escaped. Lyra led him to a central chamber where a massive console projected star maps and streams of alien data in 3 dimensions. Her fingers danced across the controls as she explained the functions. Ethan watched, absorbing everything, his admiration growing. Her knowledge had expanded in ways he hadn't imagined, a testament to her resilience and intellect. "This technology could hide us," Lyra said, pointing to a cluster of space sectors shielded from all sensors. "It's complex, but if we work together, we might be able to evade the fleet completely." Hours passed as they studied the controls. Ethan's human ingenuity combined with Lyra's alien expertise allowed them to manipulate the systems. Slowly, a protective field enveloped their ship, rendering it invisible to tracking systems. The alien fleet, unable to locate them, eventually retreated, frustrated and confused. They sank to the floor in relief, hands finding each other instinctively. Exhaustion weighed heavily on them, but for a moment they allowed themselves to simply exist in peace. "I sacrificed everything for you," Lyra said softly. "I left my home, my family, my entire life, all to be with you." Ethan held her tightly. "And I'll make sure it wasn't in vain. You're safe now. I won't let anything take you from me again." Outside, the stars glittered, indifferent to the struggles of 2 beings who had defied distance, danger, and countless odds. Within this ancient structure, though, they had found something rare: hope, connection, and the chance to start anew. They knew the journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, and the consequences of Lyra's choices were only beginning to unfold. Yet in this moment they had each other, and that was enough. Lyra leaned against Ethan, her eyes scanning the glowing halls. "No matter what comes next, we'll face it together," she whispered. Ethan smiled, a rare, genuine warmth spreading through him. For the first time in months, he believed it. Together they had survived impossible odds, and together they would face whatever the galaxy had in store. And as they rested, the stars outside continued to shine, eternal witnesses to a love that had defied space, sacrifice, and time itself.